Brethren, we are debtors, but not to the flesh. We must live according to the flesh. Bondage. Now all who are led by the Spirit of God are sons of God. You did not receive a spirit of slavery, leading you back into fear, a spirit of adoption, through which we cry out, now Abba would be Daddy. We have a loving God. Some people damage their spiritual life and their relationship with Him by looking at Him mentally as a perpetual policeman and threat. It can go to mental illness, scruples, OCD, and that completely takes away the spontaneity of joy. Look at the way a child prays. I'm touched by the way that children sometimes, when I take them before the tabernacle in my hermitage, somehow are relaxed and happy. Actually, it's not just the children, but even there's something there in the created. I've noticed that there is a little robin outside who is always regular when it comes, for instance, to the office of terce, which is chanted there next to the French window. And he looks and peers and quite happy. But I've also noticed that if I celebrate on that altar, which is near that window, he also comes, and quite often at the consecration of the elevation, he's there. Is it just a coincidence? There is an order, a peace, a harmony, a symphony, actually, in creation, and we are part of it. On a Sunday morning, quite often we have the Canticle of Creatures, which I still sing in the French mode, and we used to have it alternately. Bénissez le Seigneur, and on it goes, bless the Lord, bless the Lord, bless the Lord. But the whole of creation passes, and what's happening? We are the song of creation, and they are consciously using our mind and voice, and that is order. Order. Go back to the Desert Fathers, and you go back to Eden retrieved. What happened in Eden? That order was there. And then the jarring note, original sin. The Desert Fathers found it again. You'd find them being warmed at night by a lion, that kind of thing. And also, the Celtic saints had the same thing exactly. St. Kevin and his fly. Stay at that point in the manuscript until I come back, and the fly would stay there to help him start off where he left off. But it's always been there, my friends. Actually, I had a little birdie for a while, and I noticed sometimes he'd sing when I was singing on my shoulder and stop when I stopped. And if I took him into the chapel or just by the door for adoration, he would be still and motionless. He somehow knew, I think, there was something comforting there. Now, what happens is that there is also retrieval of the power of order. One day, St. Joseph of Cupertino gave the nuns of St. Clare a lamb who was very intelligent. Eventually, the lamb died, but he promised them a bird which would assist them in their praise of God. And so it happened that one day, when the nuns were reciting the divine office, a forest songbird perched on the window of the choir and sang beautifully, as though joining them in praise of the heavenly Creator. The bird faithfully accompanied and encouraged the nuns in their chanting for 5 years, until an unfortunate situation occurred. One day, 2 of the novices began to quarrel. Now this is disharmony, especially in the house of God. Suddenly, the bird flew between them as though to restore peace. When one of the novices, in her anger, struck the bird, the feathered creature flew away and did not return until the nuns pleaded with St. Joseph of Cupertino to send it back. Next time the nuns were inquired, the bird not only appeared and chanted with them, but for the first time entered the building, and permitted the nuns to touch it. For whatever reason, one of the nuns tied a small bell to its foot. This prompted the bird once again to fly away. When the nuns told the saint it had been done, he gently reproved them. I sent you the bird, that it should sing, not that it should ring a bell. At the request of the nuns, the saint once again promised to have the bird returned, which it did, and remained for many years for the edification and pleasure of the community. Now, the house of God is a part of the cosmos claimed by another power, by the power that made us, and that should never be contaminated by unpeace, nor should what happens in there be a source of pain and temperature. Let us focus on Jesus, and we will use our energy well. We forget the greatness of what we have. The other day, a very close friend of mine was ordained to the priesthood. He too had been a Welsh, speaking actually, Baptist, and had come over and is now with Premost Attentions. And he sent me a very emotional text after his first Mass. It went in this vein: I cannot describe what it is to be at the altar, consecrating and making present the God of gods. He had no words. Now this has been the experience of all who have come this way in that mode of waiting and wanting. I pick up here the words of Cardinal Robert Sarah, who quotes St. Jean-Marie Vianney, Cueillard. In a homily given on the occasion of my Golden Priestly Jubilee on September the 28th, 2019, I recall, and here he quotes, "A priest is a man who takes the place of God, a man who is vested with all the powers of God. See the power of the priest. The priest's tongue makes a god out of a piece of bread." But he goes on. He quotes St. José María Escrivá, founder of Opus Dei. "Enjoy no day without the cross. Now the priest's joy is experienced fully in the Holy Mass. It is the reason for his existence and gives meaning to his life. At the altar, the priest stands before the host. Jesus looks at him and he looks at Jesus. Are we quite conscious of what it means to have Christ himself truly present before our eyes? And by the way, long periods of adoration before, especially the sacrament exposed, do give us access to his knowledge and adjust the horizon completely, refocusing, channeling energy usefully. Don't waste your existence diversifying your energy all over the internet, all over your phone, especially at a time like this. Your time and your energy will be better spent looking at him eye to eye, that he may teach you his thought directly. In every Mass, the priest finds himself face to face with Jesus. At that time, the priest is identified with Christ, configured to him. He does not become only an alter Christus, another Christ. He truly is ipse Christus. He is Christ himself. And that's at certain points when the Lord is borrowing his voice box. There is a total conformity at that point. And a great Trappist Abbot General, Gabriel Sochte, who died in 1963, maintained this, and he had it, aucune exception, I make no exception. Anything that the priest asks at that moment will be granted. And the reason, of course, is that the identification is so utter at that point that Christ is right there in him. He is clothed with the person of Christ himself, configured by a specific and sacramental identification to the high priest of the eternal covenant. There he's quoting John Paul II, Ecclesia de Eucharistia. Indeed, says the author, at the altar I do not preside at this Mass that unites us. Jesus is the one who presides in it, or at it in me. Now that's the responsibility of the mystagogue. He mustn't be drawing attention to himself. And the advantage of the calm, interiorized way of celebrating that we still have is that nothing gets in between Jesus and his people. There is a new form of clericalism which says this virtually: how great I am before. And that is to enthrone oneself on the throne of Christ and not be crystal clear and let Jesus be seen. I am sure that there are some in this assembly that the Lord is saying, come, follow me. They know it. They may not have said to anyone, but there's a language in the conscience, just as a language in the conscience of the person who's gone against it. The conscience still functions. The criminal has lots of money, but no peace. He can't avoid the conscience. Nor can we, if we've been touched by that. We will not have peace. We might have joy of another kind, but we won't have joy of heart. If the Lord has been close to us and said, come, I want you at the altar. Spend, therefore, your time, my friends, looking at the issue that matters, Jesus and his power. And don't waste your time on things which do precisely the opposite. Otherwise, you too are playing the game of opening. I'll just give you this before I leave. It's the feast of St. Elijah in the Eastern Church, and hugely celebrated. And Elijah had all the gifts bar the priesthood. Remember this next time you're alone. He went for 40 days and 40 nights to the mountain of God. And what did he hear? The still, small